We are back. Yes, it is another episode of the Extra Bases podcast with Bristol and Booth. Jason Bristol, Jeremy Booth, former Major League Scout, KHOU 11 baseball analyst. Man, we are coming down to the wire. Did you do your homework?
I got a couple of pages of homework.
You did do your homework.
My dog stayed away from it. I got it right here. How about you? Did you get
Is that
this
the
done?
best? Is that the best excuse still? Still the best excuse?
It works on a million levels. Everybody's got a dog, and if you don't, somebody's got a dog next to you.
Because I actually think it's one of those that if you do use it, you still get a smile. Like I would love to come into work and say, "Yeah, I don't have it because my dog ate it."
Yeah,
and it's still good.
It plays. It works on every level. So,
to me, that's like a 70 excuse on the 20/80 scouting excuse scale.
How do you challenge it? How do you challenge it?
I don't know.
Your dog ate the homework. Really? Yeah, really. Prove it. I can't. It's gone. He ate it.
Well, I would say this. We don't use paper anymore. We're a paperless school.
My dog ate my computer?
There you go.
All right.
Yeah, that works as well.
Okay.
The Astros and the rest of Major League Baseball coming down to the wire. We have these races. And other than, the AL East, we still have some drama for the most part.
A lot of drama in the National League.
Yeah.
For me. Central and the West, 4 of your 5 playoff teams in the National League are going to come from those 2 divisions.
Mm-hmm.
Dodgers slim lead over the Rockies, who are fearless right now.
You love those Dodgers.
Maybe
love is a strong word.
It is.
You admire from afar those Dodgers?
Dodgers got a special place in my heart.
Yeah. Do you have a crush on this year's team?
No, I don't have a crush on this year's team. I think that they've been decimated.
You had a crush on last year's team.
I did, but I thought they were a better team last year. I mean, they've been hurt a lot. They've had a lot of injuries in that bullpen. We had our event in Camelback Ranch, Dodger Spring Training Home, and John Axford was walking around there. And Ronnie was walking around there, and I was like, I didn't even know you guys were on the club. And it's not because you don't watch the games or understand the team. It's because they've been hurt. They're out. They're not healthy. They're starting to come back. And if they can get all their guys back, and they got about 10 days left, they can get scary in a hurry. The Rockies have no fear, and the Diamondbacks have kind of faded. So you're really looking at 2 teams out there, okay? And in the Central, it's the Cubs in first place with the Brewers chasing them, and the Cards a distant third, not too distant, but far enough back where you kind of think it's the Cubs and the Brewers that make the postseason. But 4 of your 5 teams come out of that, and that's some pretty interesting parity.
I like the Dodgers, considering that they were a dumpster fire. Yeah, that was the phrase we used earlier. Well, excuse me, that's what I said.
I backed it up.
Okay.
It's you know what, Jason? The best part about this is that it's on radio. It's documented, and you can go back and listen to it. I was with you.
But what they did last season and how they managed that bullpen in the playoffs, I don't know if I like them. Say they play the Astros. I still think the Astros would have an edge again. Is there
anybody that can beat the Astros?
Can beat the Astros? Yeah, I think to be honest with you, right now, and it's a team that I've been very bullish on, has been Cleveland.
Okay.
Because before the year, I thought that Cleveland, yes, the Yankees were going to be the big challengers, but I don't think we're intimidated by the Yankees at this point.
They don't scare me.
To me, I think Cleveland scares me more. I think that basically that lineup, 1 through 9, if everybody's healthy, I think you have an all-star in every single spot in that batting order.
I don't disagree. I mean,
former all-star.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but I think you're right. I think you're right about a couple of things. They can be beat. Mm-hmm. They can certainly be handled, at least offensively.
We're talking to the Astros.
The Astros, yeah. And there's a couple of clubs out there that can give them a run. I don't know if that ultimately happens. We'll get into that as we go a little further deeper, but into this into our podcast. But the A's got 90 wins, and I never saw that coming.
No one did.
Well, they might have.
That's why I think they went out and got Jonathan Lucroy.
Just not going to walk. I'm not going to walk away from that one.
Well, you were wrong about it. Now
I don't see it though. Like I still, if I'm them back then, I don't see it. Chris Davis is Chris Davis. I'm wondering how long he's going to stay in Oakland, frankly. But you were right. They took a shot. They rolled the dice in a position of need. They gave him a short-term contract, and guess what? The Oakland A's are going to make the postseason. Okay, good for Oakland, good for them. Yeah, Jason. I mean, you're right. I don't see it. I still don't see it looking back, but it worked.
Sure.
It worked.
It did.
What about
No, for me, like what worries us about each of the teams? Would you agree that there's 4 teams, that there's like a Final Four here? If we're gonna pick, I think there's a Final Four, 2 in each league: Boston, Houston, L.A., Chicago.
I think that's the Final Four. I don't disagree with you, but I got concerns with every club.
Okay,
with every club.
Let's start with Chicago.
Chicago Cubs. Chicago Cubs have had some very frustrating games this year. They're better talent-wise than what their record says. This is largely the same club that won the World Series a couple years ago.
Yep.
And to have 84 wins right now is a concern for me. So whether or not they can play as a unit, how that bullpen's going to hold up, the starting rotation, what you can get on any given night. If they're on, they're on. If they're not, they're really not. And there's not a lot of keeping you in the ball game when they lose. There's not a whole lot of keep. So for me, it's kind of an all or nothing club right now, and that's a concern. Okay.
Dodgers.
Health, long-term health, the ability to get all the reps out of the way and the cobwebs out and the rust off to get to where they need to be in the postseason now. A year ago, we stood in this studio and I said the Dodgers starting rotation scared me for the Astros. It was deep. I don't feel that way right now. I don't feel like the Dodgers are scaring anybody. I feel like they can, but I don't feel like they are.
The Astros. Inconsistent hitting?
Carlos Correa. He scares me. And the reason why he scares me is because he hasn't been healthy, and the last month has been atrocious. It's time to get hot. As good as Alex Bregman has been, better than anybody expected. Yes, you predicted he was an all-star, which you might have been one of the few across baseball that predicted he was an all-star. 30 home runs, 100 RBIs.
I didn't predict that.
Right? So, and for his age 24 season and under, there's only a few guys who have ever done that. And you went through that on Sports Extra, or even last week as well a couple times. So, it's unique what he's done to pick up where Correa has been. But even still, Alex Bregman, if you flip them, last year wasn't doing what Correa's done right now. He was better. He was far better. And he actually turned the tide in the World Series for the Astros, and I want to say it was Game 6 here, where in that extra innings, it might have been 6, right? Extra innings, Game 6?
I don't remember now.
He got the base hit in extra innings. He stayed short to the ball and stopped trying to lift everything, stayed in the middle of the field, and that was it. That was a series, a turning moment right there. So Correa bothers me. You can't carry an out in the postseason, and he shouldn't be an out.
He's an automatic out right now.
Automatic right now. That scares me.
How does a guy like that 1-1 with that talent? I mean, how does he become an automatic out? Is he not 100% healthy? Is the back still bothering him?
Sometimes guys have bad years, and sometimes just guys don't play well. And it doesn't mean that he's less of a player throughout his career, and it doesn't mean that he's not going to have impact. It doesn't mean he's not going to make a lot of money. What it does mean is that the guy was picked 1-1, and the guys that went before him in that spot, and this is a bad comparison right now, Alex Rodriguez was a 1-1 shortstop out of Miami.
Yep.
Okay. Manny Machado, I think,
Westminster Christian
third,
High School.
Right? Not 1, because that was Strasburg and Harper, so I think he went 3.
Okay.
Okay. Those type of guys, Correa's got to become one of those type of guys. The best of the 3 was obviously Alex Rodriguez, regardless of the off-field issues and things that he did. Alex Rodriguez was one of the best players ever walked the face of the earth.
Yep.
Period. So you've got A-Rod, and you've got Machado, and you've got Correa. And when you expect out of a guy at 6'4", 215, playing shortstop, you took 1-1, is not 195 his last 30 games. If you're going to reach
and
your
4 extra base hits.
If you're going to reach your ceiling, you better perform. He has to turn around in the postseason and perform, or he concerns me. It's automatic out right now.
And I have to believe this is probably one of the few times that he's actually struggled as a baseball player.
Likely.
Right?
Likely.
I don't have his resume from all of Puerto Rico, but and I don't know, I have to look it up.
It's all right.
Minor leagues. I don't have
to.
It
doesn't matter. You saw him in Corpus this year, right? Did you see him in Corpus when he was rehabbing?
Yeah.
How'd that look?
Didn't look good.
Didn't look great. Okay, so he's back,
me.
and it hasn't looked great since he's been here. So you're going into the postseason, and you're likely going to play not the Yankees, because the Yankees will go through Oakland and Boston, but you're going to play Cleveland, which at the beginning of the year, before the season even started, you said to me was the team that scared you. Okay, that's who they're going to get. They're going to get the Indians. If you get by the Indians, which I think they will, and I think you do too, because the Indians scare me with their depth, and they scare me with the ability to match up certain situations, and the way the game is played right now, leverage and situations has a lot to do with the postseason, and that scares me for them.
Yep.
But the Astros are going to have to go take the number one pitching staff in the game, the number one offense in the game, and then face a team in Boston who's ripe, believe it or not, when you really break it down, with their health in their starting rotation, the bullpen blowing, as you pointed out the other day, 12 saves since the All-Star break, and David Price has never pitched well this time of year, ever. David Price just has never got it done in October or into September, and it's not because he doesn't have big stuff, and it's not because he wasn't the first pick in the draft, and it's not because he doesn't have all the ability. It's because guys wait him out. It's fastball cutter, fastball cutter, fastball cutter, and it's hard, and everything's fast, and you dial it up a little bit, look in the zone, and you let it go. And if he doesn't execute, which guys that pitch with intent, are you listening, Lance McCullers? Guys that pitch with intent constantly either break down or they find some kind of fatigue. Okay? And that's why Price gets in the postseason and guys like, okay.
He's just a guy. He's just a guy then.
And Sale hasn't been healthy. So the Astros have a chance, but Correa can't be an automatic out because that stuff can get contagious as well. And Tyler White, as good as he has done, postseason's a whole nother gear, and he's never really been there. So we don't know what we're going to get. We know we've got him playing over his skis this year. Over his skis, no doubt. Tyler White's been an important part of this ball club, but he's not meant to carry this club. And he's filling in for Correa right now, offensively.
I will say right now, when you look at Correa's stats throughout his career, other than his first year in the Gulf Coast League, this is the worst batting average he's had. Now, granted, I'm taking out the Winter League, but he hit .232 in the Gulf Coast League, which happens. I mean, Chipper Jones had a horrible first year in the Gulf Coast League, but he hit .232 that year and had 15 extra bases in 39 games, which isn't terrible, but he had 36 strikeouts in 39 games. So this is probably likely the first time he has had a major struggle in his career.
There's a lot of reasons that this could
be.
But
can he still – but defensively, there's still value there, right? I mean, he's more offense, obviously, but –
what do you – when you think of Carlos Correa –
bat.
Okay.
Bat.
All right. Honestly, you don't want to make errors at shortstop, but do you care if he picks it up? Just think about him as a player. What do you think?
Bat.
Hit.
Bat.
Guy's got to hit. And with other guys around him –
and we love Carlos Correa. I mean,
yeah, we're not killing him.
No. I feel for him because you as a player, what's it like when you're struggling and the rest of the team is doing well? You're happy, but
yeah, you just want to contribute. I don't think those guys are. I don't think Correa is looking at the club going, I'm killing the club. I think he's trying to perform every day. I don't think he's not. I think he's obviously doing as best he can. He's trying to work through these issues. I think he's probably more frustrated with the issues than anything else because he knows the clock is ticking. Because now my man's been in the postseason a couple of times, and now he's got a ring, right? He knows what's going on here. He's not blind to what Bregman's doing. He's not blind to what Jose Altuve signed for. He's not blind to what's around him. And everybody in that clubhouse knows that while now contract issues go out the window and the things that you'll deal with in a month and a half are not even on your mind right now that may have been on your mind in April and May and even the beginning of June to a point. You're playing baseball now. Now it's about winning a World Series. And
could the postseason then actually help him?
It could, except for his pitch selection hasn't been great. His at bats haven't been as a whole. His contact hasn't been great. We're not talking about a guy that's had a bunch of line drives all over the place at people. We're talking about a bunch of bad ground balls, some pop ups, and swing and miss. That's what we're talking about out of him. And those three things are indicative of an approach problem, whether it's mentally or physically. So, without spending too much time diving into him, the bottom line is right now he's an out, and he's got one of the best players in baseball to his left in Altuve and emerging one of the best players in baseball to his right now in Alex Bregman. And he's got to be going, what about me? Where do I fit? Don't forget. And that's not a selfish thing. That's just being a professional baseball player trying to figure out how you can help your club.
And what worries us about the Red Sox, I think we just mentioned it. It's that bullpen. Since the All-Star break, they have blown 12 saves. Since the All-Star break, 12 saves in 24 opportunities. That, to me, is a huge done? Problem. I don't know.
Maybe it's rhetorical. Has that ever been done, though? When's the last time you
from a first-place club?
Right, that's got 103 wins.
I'll say this about the Mariners. When the Astros went to the ninth inning against the Mariners the other day, and I saw Edwin Diaz on the mound, and I was like, it's over.
Noel Sevilla, international director for
I know that guy.
For the Future Star Series.
It was over.
In Puerto Rico, signed him. Go ahead.
Yeah, and over, like I knew. And I actually feel...
Does Eddie have 70 saves? How many's he got? I thought I saw 70 on the screen. I was like, Eddie.
I think that was strikeouts. I think that was...
Sugar.
No, it was more. He's got 100-something strikeouts.
Yeah, no,
I think that was innings. Yeah.
No, was it saves? How many saves has he got? No. It's a lot. In the era of the save doesn't matter. Yeah, it does. That's a lot.
But I think 71 games, 56 saves. So the 70 was the games, I'm guessing. But think of that, 120 strikeouts in 71 innings.
How many blown saves? 0?
No, he's 0-4. He's 0-4. And I don't see blown saves here.
That means he must have come in when it was a tie situation and given something up. But listen, that's nasty.
Yeah.
That's nasty stuff. Would you take 56 saves?
Sure.
I would.
But again, I think the bullpen, to me, that's why I feel so much. And I like what the Astros have done. I mean, aside from all of his issues, Osuna is one of the top 5 guys in the game. And I feel good about that. I feel great about that when he comes in the ninth. Much better than I did last year.
You know I'm staring at you. I'm staring at you. You know I am.
Why would you possibly be staring at me?
Really? All right.
That you don't feel good about Osuna?
I don't feel
over Giles?
Oh, I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say over Giles. I don't feel good about somebody's state of mind that can go places that he's gone. And that's what I'll say.
Okay.
Okay.
That's that's good.
That said, before the age of 23, he's one of the top 5 closers in the history of baseball. Before the age of 23. Okay? I understand why they made the trade. Giles, let's break down Ken Giles for a second. He's had a lot of success in Toronto since the trade as well. Okay? His head wasn't here anymore. His heart was too much on the other side of trying to do too much. And his execution was terrible. And it as hard as
and the baseballs might have been different in the postseason, but anyways,
as hard as you throw, and the James kid's a good example. Okay, throws really hard. As hard as you throw, you better be able to get guys out. If you can't get guys out throwing 100 miles an hour, we got a problem. And Giles has gone to Toronto and figure some stuff out, and the trade was necessary for both players. Okay, Osuna's definitely helped the club. I'm going to reverse something that I said a while ago because it's something that we just did on Facebook Live where we talked through the 12 options that they have.
So we ran down which players are most likely to be in the bullpen for the Astros during the postseason, or at least that opening round.
And so we, a couple podcasts ago, and even on Sports Extra, we might have said this, but I know it was on the podcast. We said, what bullpen do you feel better about? And I said 17, you said 18. And one of the big reasons I said it was the conditioning of Brad Peacock and the health of Lance McCullers at the time of the year being in the bullpen, who, by the way, is still not back. Okay? But again, let's keep running him out there as a starter. Okay, that's it. That's all I'm going to say on that today. But I'm going to reverse, and I'm going to say I was wrong, and I'm going to agree with you because the depth that this year's bullpen is better. But the reason isn't because of Peacock, and it's not because of McCullers. It's because both of those guys will be back and in the bullpen, barring anything else. That's a problem. The depth these guys have in the bullpen this year isn't even close to what they had last year. Right?
It's way better.
It's way better. You're not leaning on Davinsky now to get guys out because you have to. McHugh has taken a gigantic step forward, at least right now. It may go back to what it was before next year, but right now, he's had a great year. Tony Sipp is far and away better than what he was a year ago.
He wasn't even in the conversation last year.
All. So
people were trying to run him out of town.
So the depth is so much better that you were right. You're right. So it's this year's bullpen, the rotation being what it is. The Astros might be put together better than anybody else. Looking, the Yankees they're dangerous. They hit 245 home runs, but man, they strike out a lot.
With Osuna, his strikeouts per 9 innings is down about 3 from his previous season in Toronto. Is that something we should be concerned about, or no?
How many games did he miss? 75?
But even in Toronto, he was lower.
It's clearly in Toronto he had some issues.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say, lots of times, and this isn't a shot at any one player when I say this, but off-field issues can get to guys somewhere. Even if they're battling to perform, off-field issues, they're human beings. Yeah. They're not robots. And part of being a professional is being able to separate that and come to the yard every day and get your job done. Okay. These guys aren't living perfect lives where they don't have real problems as well. And whether Osuna actually did what he's accused of doing or didn't do it, or there's more to the situation or less to the situation or whatever, it's clear that it got to wherever it was, that because he had issues. It wasn't like none of this stuff was happening and he was in a perfect situation. He wasn't. It's pretty obvious, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think with him to have 100 saves before the age of 24, I think is what it was, right? He's working his way back a little bit just on the baseball side. He's still got some stuff mentally that's got to be bothering him. The guy wakes up every day, and it's not like what happened in Toronto doesn't exist. It's still alive. It hasn't gone away.
Follows him everywhere.
And they got to finish in Toronto too, don't they? At the end of the year?
That's one of the teams, yes.
Right. So he's gonna have some mental tests. I wouldn't be concerned about that just yet. I'd be concerned if he wasn't getting guys out. He's getting guys out.
You're in the front office of the Astros. You have a guy, 25 years old, who has really exploded this season onto the scene and is now in the major leagues and throws 100 miles an hour, yet has only 4 games of major league experience. Is he in your bullpen for the start of the playoffs? Josh James.
If he's a better option than the other guys I have, but he'd be my last guy. Okay? So we talked about it last week, and I said no at the time because he hadn't been there. However, he's got another week to 10 days to prove himself. Right?
McHugh, Peacock.
Okay.
Sip.
3.
Presley,
4,
Osuna,
5, McCullers, 6,
Joe Smith,
maybe.
I think Joe Smith's in there.
Okay, so that's 7 for you. I'm at 6,
and then Josh James, right? I mentioned Presley.
He's the 8. Where's Davinsky? Right.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, Devo, all-star, gutsy dude, but this year just hasn't.
He's volatile.
This year has not been his best year.
Right. So I'm at 7, or you're at 7. I'm at 6.
To me, Josh James, the ability to come in there and just blow dudes away, like guy. That is a weapon, right? That's a weapon to come in, throw 101, and
as long as he executes, yeah.
Yeah.
So for you, he's on your 8th guy list. You didn't say Will Harris, you didn't say Davinsky, but for you, he's 8. Okay. For me, based on the guys we've talked about,
Will Harris has had a decent year.
Okay, so he's 7 or 8 for me as well. So yeah, I would say at this point he makes the club. Okay,
that's fascinating. That's gonna be. Oh, I didn't even mention Rondon.
Oh, well, see, there you go. So Rondon, Harris, and James, and I said on Facebook Live, and we'll say it here again. There's always that one guy in that situation in the bullpen that you're like, man, I wish I had him.
Yeah.
Right. It's always the one you don't pick. So.
Or do you go with experience for a guy like Will Harris who's been around and Devo? So I don't know.
I would take James over Davinsky right now.
I think I would too.
Just because you're talking about the 8th spot. So I take James over Davinsky. I don't know that I take James over Harris. I don't know that I take James over Rondon, but I take James over Davinsky.
Right now.
Right now.
Could that change in the next week and a half or whatever is left?
Devo's been hurt as well. I know he's come back, but he's been hurt. The question is going to be for him is where's his body at, right? We don't. Again, in the postseason, these guys aren't going to play a wild card game. You don't have time for guys to find their rhythm.
True.
That's happening now, and that's what troubles me about Correa is that he hasn't found his rhythm yet.
What about Framber Valdez? He walks a lot of guys, though.
He's not in the conversation. But even still, you're at 13 or 14 guys now that you're talking about, right?
Which is a nice problem to have.
So I think you were right. I'm going to reverse my decision and say Jason Bristol was correct. And
Man, I love to hear that.
Right. 2018 bullpen's better. As much as
there's a lot of that goes on of late.
Okay. Let's settle down. As long as people are performing, this Astros team is, and look, I know you can say about anybody, but we said at the beginning of the year this is a better club. And, last year's bullpen I felt good with. This year's bullpen I feel a lot better with based on the depth. That's the separator.
Deeper bullpen than the Indians at this point.
Yeah.
Deeper bullpen than the Red Sox at this point.
100%.
Deeper bullpen than the Yankees at this point.
Yes, sir.
Deeper bullpen than the Athletics.
I'm not going to answer that.
Deeper bullpen than the Dodgers.
If everybody's healthy, it's close.
Deeper bullpen than the Cubs.
Yeah.
And with the game, the way it's played now.
It's the best starting staff in baseball. It's number
And
one
if you
staff.
think it has the most depth in the bullpen, and if they execute, hello, October, baby.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's a couple of things I looked up before we got on the air.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was just overall pitching
Okay.
for the league. And not in every single area, but in most of these areas, the top 13 teams. And that's all I had to go for a reason.
Okay.
In baseball, 10 of them are my projected postseason representatives.
Okay.
So I only had to go 13 deep to find all 10 pitching staffs. It wasn't the same offensively.
Okay.
All right? I'll give you an example. I looked at home runs as well. I looked at home runs. We're talking about power. We're talking about strikeouts a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about those type of things. And I looked at home runs. So there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams, or 7 teams that are going to have 200 home runs based on the stats as it sits today. A couple of them are actually at 199 right now.
Hitting.
Okay, hitting. Home runs. Okay. Brewers, Cardinals, Blue Jays, Yankees, Angels, A's, and Indians. Yankees had 245, far and away.
Okay.
But Blue Jays, out of that list, the Blue Jays and Angels don't make the playoffs. So 5 teams in this huge power era of 200 home runs or more, everybody's got to hit 200 home runs. Half the teams will hit 200 home runs. All 10 are in the top 15, let's say, in pitching in the game. Top half of baseball.
Okay.
All 10. You don't have to worry about that spread out. And the Astros have the 7th best offense overall, and the Red Sox have the leading offense overall. So the question becomes, is it the best staff and the 7th best offense, or is it the 8th to 10th pitching staff in the game or 11th pitching staff in the game with the Red Sox? Again, factoring all these things in now. And the number one offense. Who do you take? That's going to be the series. And both teams have holes. The Red Sox have a lot of them in the pitching staff right now based on the time of year and the health and the bullpen.
I feel really good about these Astros right now. I really do.
I'm still pushing the panic button for 2019. But right now.
Are we going to go back to that again? Jeez.
Is it over
You're
here?
shaking the camera.
Yeah,
What are you doing?
I'm pushing
Stop.
buttons.
You're shaking the camera.
Okay, well, I'm pushing buttons.
I got to move that camera. You know, it's funny. I mentioned it's funny. This is, and of course, now I'm slapping the table and the camera's moving. I had said to myself, I got to move that camera because Jeremy keeps hitting the table.
I hit the table.
Well, it's not hitting; it's emphasizing, which is
well,
important. That's great. You're emphasizing a point, but
passion.
But also, we've got some standards here, and the camera cannot be shaking.
I'm sorry. I'm just pushing panic buttons.
Oh
Okay?
Man!
I'm going to go ahead and sit in my corner.
Look at this Astros. Kluber, Bieber, Carrasco, Clevenger, Miller,
Mike Clevenger's fun.
Zach McAllister. Is he still there? No. Yes? Interesting.
It's going to
All
be fun October.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
No.
All right. I think that's good.
Yeah, me too.
What do we got? 30 minutes? That's about right. I think that's
about
about, that's about a car ride home and blah, blah, blah. So, all right, my man, as always. For Jeremy, I'm Jason. Thanks for tuning in to the Extra Bases podcast. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, haptic impulses, anything, just let us know. We'll answer them. We'll take care of them, and we'll see you next time.